राम जय राम जय जय राम। श्री राम जय राम जय जय राम वो। श्री राम जय राम जय जय राम। श्री राम जय राम जय जय राम वो। श्री राम जय राम जय जय राम। श्री राम जय राम जय जय राम वो। श्री राम जय राम जय जय राम ओम। श्री राम जय राम जय राम। श्री राम जय राम जय जय राम ओम। हरि ओम प्रणाम प्रणाम। So anybody has gone a little more deeper into the second chapter? Yesterday we dealt with the first three, that is 2 and 3. That was the tonic given by, so to say, something like a tonic, given by the Lord to Arjuna, probing him, motivating to rethink, Whenever we are in a confused state, we are unable to take any decision. At that time, we should make him know that he is potential, he is capable. Somehow to make him aware of his hidden capabilities so that he will be able to slowly get back to the balance. He has lost the balance, that is why he is in a confused state. So when we are passing through such moments, that is why Satsang, all those things we take to reading of some slokas. We try to go through the biographies of the masters, how they have handled different situations. In our case, we can definitely bring in quest of God, in the vision of God. How Papa has dealt with different... So whenever I am confronted with a problem which I am unable to accept it, unable to handle it, immediately suppose I am in a position to ask how Papa would have dealt if he had been in the front. Something like that, So somebody comes and tells me, have you not heard about Papa handling this situation? Immediately there is a cushioning effect. And that is what he did. The 2 and 3, Sri Krishna is giving the first initial tonic to Arjuna's broken mind. And the tonic had this effect. When Sri Krishna spoke these words, Arjuna became somehow strengthened, somewhat composed. Though he is not free from confusion. Again, the mind keeps on dwelling on his earlier views. But there is a difference between the first and the second one. A little more coherently. That is what you will see hereafter the coming verses. And then comes the 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th. So 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 5 slokas. He tries to justify. So this is what is happening in our mind, Even if when we feel that we are free from the confusion, again the factors that were confusing us still continue to dominate. And it comes out in different forms. A person whose stature is something, he is Ajatashatru, he is a warrior, he is under Drona, he was able to master the archery, but still he says, it is better for me to live on alms in the world and avoid slaying my honored elders, killing these people who seek their own purposes. I should be tasting blood-stained pleasures. There is a difference in his approach. He accepts they seek for their own purpose. They are not guided by any dharma. All those things he knows. So he says, my inborn nature has been overwhelmed by the faint-heartedness and I am confused as regards my dharma or duty. So I am asking you, tell me definitely what will prove beneficial to me. Karpanya dosha mahada svabhavaha. Prichami tvam dharmasam moodachetaha. Yacheyasya nishchidam bruhidan me shishyasteham shadimam. So he says, I am your shishya. Tvam prapannam. So all these things he started narrating, and somewhat, though not fully free, still in the clutches of that confusion, but there is a difference. I do not see any kind of prosperous kingdom on earth or overlordship over the denizens of heaven which will remove the grief that has scorched my senses. So there is a rethinking, rephrasing rather. And then Krishna starts answering. Arjuna says, having said this to Sri Krishna, Arjuna said, I am not going to fight, and he remained quiet in the chariot. Vishidantamidam. Then the Bhagavan starts. From the 11th chapter, sloka, up to 58, 57, something. So he keeps on, 43, 44 slokas. He took, mind you, the second chapter can be split into 3 divisions. First, Krishna gives them a boost to clear the confusion. Confusion again still continues, probably in a mild way. Then he takes the opportunity to bring the transient nature of the life, transient nature of the world. Because from the battlefield, from the fitness and righteousness or whatever that is involved in the war, he suddenly takes us to the philosophical step. Transient nature of the body. Whatever that is born, it has to die. So these first few stanzas Every embodied human being passes through different states. A child below 12 years is called a boy, Kumara, or a girl, Kumari. Kumara means child age, then Yauvanam, youthfulness, then Jara, old age. Every embodied person passes through these states of childhood, youth, and old age in the body. Similarly, also death and rebirth. A courageous person is not deluded thereby. Slowly the torch is now, the light is thrown on these bare facts. What is happening? So that he will start thinking. When I pass into the youthful stage, I don't cry for the boyhood state which I had lost. Because I am in a position to accept, yes, that is the nature. When I slip into my old age, I don't cry for the youthful state. Because I know that that is the fact. It's making them to think. Na? We continue this human evolution through new bodies, believing in the idea of rebirth, a very important teaching in Sanatana Dharma. The human being passes through birth after birth until he or she realizes the truth of the immortal self within. This process goes on until one burns away one's karmas, our fruits of actions, in the fire of spiritual knowledge. So we are asked to accelerate our spiritual development with the help of this body, realize the truth, then the body's work is over. Until then the body will remain in one form or other, for a human body is meant not for pleasure and comfort only. For that animal bodies are better fitted. This human body is meant for knowledge, both secular and spiritual. Realize the highest truth, burn away all your karmas, then you have no birth, you have no death, you are free. Vedanta calls it a subtle body. When our sages, through scientific inquiry into the depth dimension of human nature beyond the sensory level, discovered the Sukshma Sharira in human beings behind the Sthula Sharira. Sukshma Sharira manufactures another gross body for itself to continue its search for his or her true self. In Vedanta, there are three types of bodies. One is called the Sthula Sharira, Sukshma Sharira, then Karana Sharira. So this is the Sthula Sharira, what we have now. Inside there is a Sukshma Sharira. And why it has happened so? That is the Karana Sharira. And Atman is beyond these three bodies. So a touch is given here. Dehinosmin yatha dehe kaumaram yauvanam jara tatha dehandara praptihi dhiras tatra namushyati. So they don't. Those who are aware of it, they will not grumble or complain or feel sad over the changes that are taking place in this body, and then again there is a death. It's a common factor for all of us. We conveniently, we forget it, As Vinobaji says, the moment we are born, we have taken a ticket to death. And so here Sri Krishna says, if you don't exhaust your existing vasanas, tendencies, the carryover of all your actions, if it is tainted with self-centeredness, naturally the karmic wrangle starts. And after this body, again the Sukshma Sharira plans to get a suitable body to exhaust its unfulfilled desires. And once we move towards the core of our being, we have been assured that one day we will be able to free ourselves from this karmic wrangle and become one with it. So we are asked to accelerate our spiritual development with the help of this body. Realize the truth, then the body's work is over. As a Puja Swamiji said, human birth is a gateway to liberation. We need a platform to express ourselves, to strive, to take to sadhana. We need a platform. So human birth is a gateway to liberation. Same idea is brought here. So we are asked to accelerate our spiritual development with the help of this body. Until then, the body will remain in one form or the other. Then again he says, Matra sparshastu kaunteya, shitoshna sukadukada, agama payino nitya, tamsitikshasvarana. Sensory objects. When we touch the sensory objects, then our sensory system comes in touch with the sensory object. The word matra is associated with the word measure. Contact with sense objects. What happens to you thereby? Sometimes it will give you sensation of cold, sometimes of heat, sometimes of pleasure, sometimes of pain. That is the nature of each contact. Shitoshna Sukha Dukha. They are agama payino, they come and go. They don't persist. If that is so, how shall we react to them properly? Bear with them. This is another clue for all of us. Forbearance. What cannot be cured must be endured, we say in English. You fall ill, you go to the doctor will treat you, there is a science about it. But so far as you are concerned, cooperate with the doctor by the tremendous determination to bear with it. So long as it is there, bear with them. It develops strength of mind. Try to remove them as far as you can by treatment. What you cannot cure, bear with them. The capacity to bear with these things is a tremendous capacity. The threshold of pain, as we call in neural language, is different from different people. Some people can stand a good deal of it, some people cannot stand. So don't be so weak. Everyone must develop a little strength of mind to withstand the changes and chances of life. Life is not full fun, all pleasure. Often difficulties come. So this kind of strengthening of the human organism, again the environment is very important for human life. If your body is strong, no disease germs can enter into it, multiply there. If it is weak, any number of germs can enter and create trouble. So keep the organism strong. Your mind also must be strong. So this concept of tantitikshasva, bear with them, because they are anitya, they come and go. They are not always there. A little patience. We remember in our childhood days, we were all using firewood only, and ovens will be like that. So when mother starts cooking in different vessels, when it is over, without any support, they used to lift from the hot vessel. They are in a position to lift it from that particular place to put it in another place without any much help. Suppose we try, we get burnt. So then they teach us, this bearing capacity. After repeatedly doing it, suppose you open the tap, the hot water is coming. First the cold water is coming, then the hot water is coming. Suppose you have put soap powder, you do like this, stirring it. Initially with the cold water it is okay. Then as the water, hot water starts coming and joining it, you will find little uneasiness, but later on you will find you can manage. The body adjusts itself to the new set of experience. So when Lord Krishna says to Arjuna, you should develop this, it is not superhuman. All of us can try this. You must be already trying this, or you must know, you will be knowing it. Normally, hot one, we need something else to hold, Otherwise, we get burnt. That particular portion of the body gets burnt. But now, how is it that we are able to bear it? The body adjusts by repeatedly subjecting it to go through such. This is a very important point. Through small examples, we will be able to understand it in our own life. So, the shock absorber is within us. When God gives us shock, He has also given us the shock absorber in us. But unless we try to touch and kindle and bring it out, we will be crying, or we will be telling, oh, it's too much. Everyone must develop a little strength of mind to withstand the changes and chances of life. Life is not full of fun or pleasure. Often difficulties come. So this kind of strengthening of the human organism against the environment is very, 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 very important. So self-discipline. Strength of mind and control of the sensory system are very important for any decent human being. Strength of mind and control of the sensory system. What does it mean, sensory system? Sense organs will not run. That which should not be seen will not be seen. That which should not be heard will not be heard. That which should not be tasted will not be tasted. That which should not be touched will not be touched. That which should not be smelled, it will not. How does it come? Only by practice. It cannot come by reading or thinking or discussing. It is only through practice. So self-control and strength of the mind. Strength of the mind, we said, we slowly, when we go through this, we don't make a fuss about it. We don't make if anything small or anything, we will just coolly observe it. The shock absorber should be kindled. The strength of the mind is developed. Along with the control of the senses are also developed. If these are not there, we will always be miserable. So this is how Sri Krishna slowly tries to enter into us, from the battlefield to the individual. He will not say anything about battlefield now. Sri Krishna will repeat this idea throughout this book. Strength of mind and control of the sensory system are very important for any decent human being. Virtue and morality cannot thrive without the kind of self-discipline. In normal life, difficulties come. If you can bear a little, probably things would be better a little later. When you swim in the ocean, the waves come and buffet you, dash against you. So when the waves come, duck underneath, and as it goes away, come up again. That is the way to deal with the waves. They come and they go. Agama payino nityam. They are not always there. So you can always have the capacity developed to swim against the waves by this method. Many of you might have seen, when you go to beach, when the waves come, how they go along with the waves, They dive deep and then come back. This is the way to deal. They come and they go. They are not always. So you can always have the capacity developed to swim against the waves by this method. So this concept of tan titikshasva, bear with them, because they are anitya. They are not always there. A little patience can bring about changes. A little patience can bring about great changes. When we are weak-minded, the first onslaught of an unhappy situation makes us broken down. The very first onslaught, that shows weakness. If a little strength is there, one can say, I shall withstand it. I shall overcome it. That is called tremendous faith in oneself, Atma Shraddha. Sri Krishna wants all of us to develop this Atma Shraddha. I shall overcome. One of the national songs of the American people, we shall overcome. That spirit must be there in all people. Titiksha is a great word in Sanskrit. It is defined by Shankaracharya and Vivek Chudamani in one verse. It is one of the virtues to be developed by a student of Vedanta. Sahanam. Sahanam sarvadukhanam. The bearing of all suffering without any anxiety and weeping, without the intention to react. That is called titiksha. So in slokas after slokas, he is now highlighting about not only about the transient nature, but also what is to be developed. Know the transient nature, develop the forbearance, so that the shock will not affect us very deeply. Initially there will be, but so here he says, he or she who is not thrown down by any of these experiences, that is happiness and misery, cold and heat, etc., samadukka sugandhiram. The encouragement, the courageous one who is even-minded in dukkha, grief, and sukha, happiness. So, that person alone can achieve immortality. He or she can realize the Atman which is immortal. This is a tremendous capacity. He quotes the example of Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel. He was also a lawyer, though he was very much along with the freedom movement. So when he was arguing, somebody immediately came and gave a chit. He went through it, put it in his pocket, continued his argument. After the argument, he rushed to the house. The chit informed that his wife is no more. That's called he is an Iron Man, no? Sardar Patel was arguing a case in the court. A man delivered a telegram to him. He just read it, put it in the packet, continued his argument, then went home to see his dead wife. That was the telegram. How many of us can withstand that shock calmly? It is not for want of love. Love was there, but something more was there, the capacity to withstand the ups and downs of life. A good deal of courage is needed to go beyond the pulse of the physical system, nervous system, psychic system, and realize the Atman that is behind all this. That strength we have to develop from now onwards. That is why high character strength is necessary for spiritual development. One has to cultivate that strength which one has by oneself. No one can purchase it for money. You have regularly to build it up in yourself, by yourself. Other people can help you, guide you, but the work is your own. This human life, this packet of psychophysical energy, I must learn to cultivate in the right way so that the best harvest will come out of it. And the highest harvest is realizing one's own true nature as the immortal self. You see now from the battlefield, he takes not only Arjuna, through Arjuna all of us into ourselves. He makes us to dispassionately view things and highlights the technique. The technique here is to develop this strength of the mind and control of the senses. Matured people, when they deal with problems, how they are in a position to absorb all these things, In household life, in professional life, in social life, there are umpteen number of examples where this is not a theory, this is a practical clue. We were all given this opportunity to watch and see how this strength of the mind can be developed, how the control of these senses can be achieved. Now, after reading this portion, we have to go back to our own life and see when God must have definitely provided this to every one of us. We were not stitching it together, that's all. That was the only mistake we did. We must have shared this for the sake of newcomers. We are sharing it again. Father never used to beat us. Father never used to use any bad language. But he was very particular that we should not address anybody with abusive language. We should never compare an animal with a man, no? Even when we lose our temper, we should be very careful. This he used to mention so many times. We were all careful. But I must have been 8 or 9 years old. One day somehow a word that should not have been uttered came out against somebody. Brother heard this and he said, I will report it to father. Now, it was a life and death struggle, mental struggle. This had happened in 53, but still we can feel it. 1953, as far back. Father was an estate manager. He had gone to the estate for a visit. So we couldn't sit, we couldn't stand, we did not know how to face him. When brother goes and reports, how will I face him? This was going on, no? 2-3 times he went to the toilet. There is no toilet. We have to go to the outside only. Totally confused, totally desperate. Suddenly we saw the jeep coming. So that means father is coming. We rushed up. We ran up to the vehicle. Father got down. He looked at, I uttered something I should not have uttered. What did you utter? I did not say anything. What did you utter? Again there was no reply. You know that it should not be uttered, So hereafter it will not come, Yes, go. Why I remember it today, or every time? He just wanted to know whether out of fear I am not uttering or whether I understood that whether it should not be uttered. If I had repeated the word, I have already uttered it. That means again I will commit the same mistake. He did not find fault. He only said, Acha, okay, there was a slip, forget about it. And brother went there with a complaint, he said, forget about it. That's all. This wonderful way of, just imagine how the control of the senses, speech. Even if a slip comes, the way in which, because he was in a position to raise himself from this present level. Suppose he had dealt it, I have told you, not to utter. Why did you utter? He could have punished me, or he could have jumped at me, shouted at me. No. He said, what did you utter? No reply. What did you utter? Kept quiet. You know that it should not be uttered, So will it come again? No. Go. Like that we should stitch the theories which we hear through to our life. Then only Gita is entering into us, Krishna is entering into us. Like that, so many examples. Even professional life, social life. Umpty number of instances where when we erred, the other one was wise enough to point out, considering it only as a slip, not finding fault. So that not through words, but through real life examples, they made us aware of how to develop the strength of the mind and control of the senses. Kindly think about it. Kindly go back to your own past life. Start stitching. Otherwise the whole exercise will become again academic. We may be able to quote, we may be able to reproduce, we may be able to give a lecture. So what? But suppose we stitch this with our own experience, it becomes a part of our life. Krishna's presence is felt. Gita's relevance is felt in our workaday life.
Yes, someone she has a question. I was in Quest of God. I was reading there where in Quest of God, Papa, whenever he's faced with a challenge where a policeman or a ticket collector is stopping him or asking him or saying things which is not even nice, he just says it's God's will, he smiles, he leaves. Sometimes he exchanges some conversation and that is resulting in something good. So when I look at Gita, then why is it that forbearance or that attitude was not instilled in Pandava, saying that let it be, this is what happened, let it go?
It's a pertinent point. Papa's is almost a PhD state. It has fruition, It is not. We are now learning. We are trying to stitch. We are trying to learn. But that is a stage where, he has already reached. So he was able to accept everything cheerfully and see the finger of God in everything. Here the other party, there is a difference between me and him. So we are in the process of getting stabilized. But there, he was able to identify that the so-called adverse circumstances are also activated or articulated by him to test him. That's a very advanced state. But Papa is sure that will come because of his 2 years of intense sadhana. From 1920 to 1922, the struggle was intense. That means each and everything he was going through, watching through, and he was experiencing this. There will be conflict like this, so many. At one stage, when this distaste for the present life was welling up in his heart, we assume that it must have been sometime during the mid of 1922. He remarked that God is making him convinced about the hollowness of life. And when is the time to cut this bond? So he was feeling that miserable state. So that means, there was tension. The first word, stress. Where is rest? Where is peace? That was 1920 he started. And by the time he reached 1922, unlike us, to us, among so many things, we also hear this. To him it was a exclusive study. He withdrew from the field and intensely went through it. We are not withdrawing from the study. So as soon as we are back to the field, the old habits will come. Again we will try. So the refining process, it takes time. But he had reached that in 2 years' time. When you open the In Quest of God, he says, it was about 2 years ago, in 1920, that Ram first kindled in the heart of his humble slave. He kindled. Then he said, for nearly a year, Ramdas struggled on in a world full of chaos, anxieties and pains. It was a period of terrible stress, restlessness, all of his own making. In this utterly helpless condition, full of misery, where is relief, where is rest? This was the heart's cry of Ramdas. So not that he did not pass through. He did pass through. And then he reached that stage. Even if we get so many such positive backing or encouragement, when we are not exclusive in that, still we have cravings, we have ambitions, we have desires, infatuations, and we fall again. And again, God makes us to fall again. God makes us to correct ourselves. And this process goes on until he feels the equipment is fit to accept everything as ordained by him. So Papa's teacher was a 2 years struggle. Otherwise, how can he do that? First, when he left Mangalore, when he reached Erode, then starts, in our language, uncertainty. We should be anxious. Anxiety will be there. But just imagine on that day evening when he landed in Erode, he did not know where to go. Why did he land at Erode? No idea. So somebody comes and asks, where do you want to go? Then he says, he doesn't know, you know it. Then he says that no, at night there is a train towards Trichy. I am going there. If you are interested, you can join. And that took him to, so from that moment, no planning. So 27th December, technically that is not the sannyas day. 27th December morning 5 o'clock he left Mangalore. We call it a sannyas because in his own words, he says, at 5 o'clock in the morning, he bade farewell to a world for which he had lost all attraction and in which he could find nothing to call his own. The body, the mind, the soul, all were laid at the feet of Ram, that eternal being, full of love and full of mercy. We term it as sannyas, not the official sannyas. He has taken to, he has bidden the farewell to all that he has been hugging. And on 27th he reached, 28th only he reached the Srirangam. Because night he was taken by train to Trichy, and from Trichy there is 10 miles or something is there. Then he walked. Then only he knew why he was taken. He says, here Ramdas was first let into the secret of Ram's purpose in drawing him out from the sphere of his former life and surroundings. And that purpose was to take him on a pilgrimage to sacred shrines at Srirangam. The beautiful river Kaveri was flowing in all her purity. Going up to the river, he bathed in its clear waters. Here on the banks of Kaveri, he assumed, by Ram's command, the robe of a sannyasin. It was a momentous step by taking which Ram gave him an entirely new birth. So if we are too technical, we should say 28th December should be the... But because he was non-traditional, we accept that 27th morning, 5 o'clock, he has renounced everything. The other one was only a formality. So that means that stage he has reached. And the three vows that reflect the maturity of the mind. This life be henceforth entirely consecrated to meditation and the service of Ram. Internally, meditation. Outwardly, serving him in different forms. Nobody is there to instruct him. We should know that. Nobody is to give him the guidelines. Nobody is to give him, this is the step you have to take. You get into the train, get down at T road, wait there, and then go to Trichy, and from there you walk, you will reach, and you will take this. No, nobody has given any clue. God within him was guiding him at every moment of time, and he was aware of it. So that PhD state and our state is different. So one day we will also reach that stage, definitely. He is facilitating us to tap all these forces, connect it with your... I have been telling you, God says now, I have been guiding you, I have been pulling you out. You are attributing to father, you are attributing to your manager or some colleague, all those when I made you to do it, I had prompted them to behave like that so that you will get refined. Oh, everything we start stitching. Is that clear to everybody?
Yes, Swamiji. One doubt, Swamiji.
Appa, finally the mouth open. That we are going to 15th, That is in 15th chapter, no?
No, it is in Gita Mahatmyam, 19th verse.
We are in the second chapter, kindly concentrate.
That is there, before that, even before the start of the Gita Mahatmyam.
Second chapter. Please.
We are not telling that it is not there. We let us try to concentrate on this important point. இந்த கான்ட்ராக்டில் அது வரது என்ன தெரியுமா, டைவர்ஷன் ஆயிடுறது இல்லையா? We are trying to understand the strength of the mind and control of the senses. That is highlighted by Lord Krishna, not only to Arjuna, to all of us, and how to make it a reality in our life. This is what we are struggling now.
Yes.
The other one we will deal with it later. So let us concentrate. This is how the Gita should enter into us, or we become aware of Krishna's presence, how he made us to go through such incidents. So why we are quoting that incident, like that it will strike.
Yes,
Small incidents, and how they were able to, the presence of mind, not finding fault with, the strength, Otherwise, if they are not matured enough, they would have dealt with us in a different way.
Yes, Swamiji.
Think about it, please. Let us try to take these pearls and link it with our life. It is not academic exercise. We are not trying to learn what Gita says. We are trying to understand Gita in our own way. This is very important. We are not interested in this textual meaning. We are not at all interested. Because that will help us to reproduce to somebody. We are trying to understand how does Gita help me to get rid of all my so-called roadblocks and become one with him. This should be very, very clear. And Papa's life is an open textbook for us to authenticate that what we read, what we try to understand has already been actualized by a person like us. He was like all of us. He was also a grihastha. He was also a professional. He also got into vyavaharik problems. And then God made him to go through all these things and finally blessed him with the grace, and he was able to get these two immediately. So the second chapter, we are trying to understand the real significance, strength of the mind and control of the senses. If we are in a position to see that, then suddenly we may think that is only possible by Mahatmas. No, it is possible by everybody. How do I know? Go back to your own life. I have provided so many opportunities for you. God will tell us like this. So all of us will not simply hear and go. They will try to go back to their own life. Leave the text. They go back to your own life and try to remember such of the incidents which stand out in your memory and try to stitch it with these thoughts.
Yes.
Not what you did. Again the ego will come. Not somebody did for you. And how you were corrected at the right moment. And then you feel, that is how I was corrected. So that is how this is there.
Swamiji, you mentioned two divisions from the, one was the boost to clear the confusion, second was transient nature of the body and the world, third one I don't know whether we have covered, I just I don't know.
Third one.
Then as he starts talking about the transient nature, then he slowly takes us to the person who has reached that stage. He portrays the picture of a person, that means insulating ourselves, becoming impervious to any of such adversities. How to make myself impervious? That means I should be well insulated. I should not be tossed here and there. The pendulum goes on, in the life, morning till evening. At times I smile, at times I cry. At times I am happy, at times I am not happy. So in these moments, whatever may be my outer reaction, inside I should be always well steadied, established. So he slowly takes and then gives the idea. In 3-4 slokas, he gives this idea so that Arjuna is kindled to think in terms of that, not with his old conceptions. Then Arjuna asks. It worked, it clicked. Then he asks what is the nature of that person. And then he starts narrating in 18 slokas the picture of a person who has this equanimity, samatva, steadied wisdom. It has been beautifully brought out. If we don't go by these slokas and if we try to go through each and everything, it becomes very, very clear to us. The methodology he used is Not only what was then available in 5000 years ago, is the same methodology will be effective even now today in 2022. In every one of our
Swamiji, you have taken us, you have made us understand this so beautifully that we will never forget.
Correct.
We will never forget. Thank you so much.
Okay. So let us try to digest. We cannot go beyond 2 or 3. We are trying now, because this is something, it is not for mental journey. It is for absorption. Kindly think about it. And absorption can come only through, Papa says, only through perfected experience. Ramdas's words cannot be easily understood, Papa says, but it can be understood only through perfected experience. Similarly, Krishna's words cannot be understood if we are just floating at the academic level. But we can, if we try to connect it, incorporate it, integrate it, stitch it with our own experience, then it becomes a reality in our life. It gets stamped in our heart. It will help us to handle the situation in a more clearer way. More of it we will try tomorrow. Hari Om.
Yes.
Om Shri.
Thank you very much, Swamiji.
Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram 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 Om Krishna Krishna Hari Om.